Hi, my name is Tarzan. I'm the team captain of Final 15. Welcome to our presentation. Today we have Catherine Chen, Willis Lee, Derek Brown, Katie Chen, and Noah Larson. I want to take a second to thank you guys just having us here. Thank you, Arkhams, and really truly appreciate that we're honored to be here. So after 2 days of pen testing, we have found valuable information, and we want to share with you guys. So we're going to go through a quick overview, transitioning into methodology findings. Then we have response with proper remediations and compliances. We're going to leave the floor for you for more questions. So why are we here? We care about security, awareness, and compliances. But most importantly, we care about you. We're here to help you to improve and help to practice best security and create environment to protect our customer and our employees. Awareness is a culture, and we believe compliance is more than just an industry standard. It's an improvement of security. Here you go.
Thank you, Mark. So just to start off and to get an understanding of what we tested in our engagements in the last couple of days, we have the scope that you guys provided us here, the corporate network, the user network, the guest network, and the SRAM network. We also have the AWS cloud instance that you guys provided us access to. You can see a lot of the services that we found running on the machine and whatnot. Thank you. Additionally, we chose to use a penetration testing framework as our methodology for our penetration testing, which helps us organize basically what we're doing and get an understanding of flow. It's an industry standard testing framework for this case. Pass it off to Catherine.
So just before we begin our actual explaining, we just want to explain how we categorize all the vulnerabilities. As you can see here, we have our framework. It goes from informational all the way up to critical. How we basically base our findings was the likelihood of the attack happening plus the impact of the attack. So as we can see, critical means that it has a very high likelihood of happening and a very high impact on the company. And when we say a vulnerability is very critical, that basically means that since Rackmas deals with people and international customers, a critical vulnerability could have a really huge consequence on the company. While something as an informational vulnerability means that it has a very low likelihood of happening and very low impact, meaning that this informational finding is something that we recommend Rackmas really look into. Next slide, please. So overall, this is just a summary of our findings. In total, we found 24 different vulnerabilities, notably 4 being critical and 7 being high. Next slide.
Thank you, Catherine. All right, so I'm going to take a deeper dive into some of those vulnerabilities that were mentioned earlier. The first one we found with RAKMS was social engineering. And for starters, I just want to paint a little picture for how that could look. I'm sure many of you in the room have heard of the recent vulnerability breach at MGM early October of last year. What essentially happened was a hacking group was able to call their IT department, and from there they were able to find some credentials and take down their whole infrastructure for a few days, costing, I think, a little over $100 million for the quarter, which is a lot of money. Our team was at Team Finals 15 was able to do the same. We were able to call into your IT department and gather some credentials as well. So that was our top vulnerability. Moving on, we noticed that none of your applications had multi-factor authentication. Once again, I'm sure everyone in the room has had to deal with multi-factor authentication before, whether you're on your phone to log into something and you have to type an extra code. We all find it a little tedious. But the matter of fact is that it is becoming industry standard, and it is important to have multi-factor authentication for that extra layer of security. And our last one was insecure passenger and tram data. At Team Finals, at Team 15, we're able to go on some of these web services you guys had and change some information, some very critical information, compromising the integrity of it. Things like such as passenger data or baggage information. I'm going to pass it off to my next talk speaker.
So if vulnerabilities are not properly remediated, these can lead to a variety of impacts. The 3 biggest are critical infrastructure, because as part of the critical infrastructure, which CISA defines as what helps Americans maintain their way of life. This is essential for national interest. So due to this, Rackham has to follow a higher standard of security. In addition to this, there's safety, there's time-sensitive operations going on, there's people, there's vehicles, and this is where safety is paramount. Then there is compliance, because this will help you establish a good baseline. This will also make sure you stay away from legal penalties. And let's go into detail with that. So the three compliance frameworks that we kept in mind during this assessment was the TSA cybersecurity requirements for airport and aircraft operators. So we noticed that the access controls and the patching and updates were not up to standard for this, which could lead to fines, legal action, and could compromise business operations if this does not go up to standard. Then there's GDPR, which handles EU data, and in our assessment we noticed there was not enough encryption and data security to maintain these standards, which could lead up to fines of $10 million. Then there is PCI DSS, which is due to Rackham's handling customer data and payment. So fines up to this can lead to $5,000 to $100,000 a month from the vulnerabilities we found. Here you go, Willis.
Thank you again, Katie. So aside from all these violations and compliance issues, there were things that we at Finals Team 15 wanted to commend RAKMS on doing. We thought there was incredibly much better action from our prior engagement. This just means passwords were more secure, harder to crack. And continuing on from that, there were better lockout policies. Things as we were only able to attempt to log in as a user up to 3 times before getting locked out. For an end user, that might be annoying, but in a security standpoint, that's really reliable. We also noticed strong access controls, not only in AWS, but in about almost all of your services. That just entails that one account cannot use the same credentials to hop from one system to the other. And last and definitely not least, the most important thing was we wanted to commend RAKMS for having a great response to them. When there were issues, they were not afraid to open conversation promptly and resolve the issues in a timely manner. So I'm going to hand it off to Noah here to do final remarks and close you guys out.
All right, thank you, Willis. So we're not going to give you guys a bunch of problems without providing our recommendations for solutions. So to start off, we recommend employee awareness training for social engineering attacks. Just being aware of the possibility of this significantly decreases the likelihood that your employees are going to disclose sensitive information to attackers. Next, we recommend stronger authentication measures. So where there is little to no authentication required, we recommend increasing that. And we also recommend two-factor authentication, as Willis mentioned earlier. It is becoming an industry standard, and it adds an extra layer of security to authentication. And last, we recommend routine updates and patches for operating systems and software applications. This will help decrease the attack surface of your network and improve overall security. So last, to conclude, wrap this up, we found that we recommend employee awareness training. We also recommend multi-factor authentication. And last, the Robert A. Kalka team was excellent with their response. And with that, we just want to thank you guys one more time for taking the time to listen to us. And we'd like to open the floor for any questions or concerns that we'd be happy to answer for you.
Thank you. A really solid presentation. I appreciate it. You know, I like the treatment that you gave on the risk and applying against regulations. We're kind of getting obsessed here with looking at going towards a more quantitative risk measurements through things like OpenFair. Do you guys have any experience with your other clients applying a quantitative risk management model?
At the moment, that is still in development with our team, and later in future engagements with Rackham, or if needed, we can adjust to that accordingly.
Okay, that's fine.
Any other questions?
Can you go back to your recommendations? Which of these are we supposed to do first?
First, we would recommend employee awareness training. Your employees were very helpful that picked up the phone. However, it is very important to implement zero trust, where they require authentication before disclosing sensitive information, especially credentials.
Can I add it?
Yes?